started off like this because I've been Dante's personal chiropractor. Dante, come.
Good. Yay, Dante. Come.
Dante, wait. I ran the wrong direction, seriously. There's another pole over there. I was running toward that instead of this pole where this camera's placed. Dante, come. Good. Dante, up. Good. Good boy. Dante, down. That's what I was going to say. Good boy, good down. All right, so that's how we're starting this. I seriously did. I didn't mean to do that, like, to be silly. I really did. I ran to the wrong pole when I was coming back. All right, let's do it. Let's get this clothing all situated because I'm who I am. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? In the Image Clothing Company, this is one of our fourths to it. We allow the body to work here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, okay? I'm gonna tell you the video's title before we do any more going throughout this, so you know why you're here. If you saw a title that you clicked on or something, you know why you're here. But let me verbally speak the title. The title of this video, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, on today's date, the 15th of January 2026, is the Sternocleidomastoid is in the front. The upper trapezius is in the rear, okay? I'll get into this because this is what we do. We allow the human body to work here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. We're a clothing company, but only to allow the body to work, because anything placed onto the body is clothing the body with something. The human body was designed by God to work, designed in the image of Jesus Christ, in the image of God. We're a clothing company, our 5-word company name there, okay, In the Image Clothing Company. And the reason is because anything that's placed onto the body that doesn't allow the body to do what the body does is altering the body, okay? Blunt, bold, raw, and real. In the Image Clothing Company. Wind noise, surrounding sounds, where and if construction is happening. They're putting a new house in, okay? Like right there. So there's noise where there is. But this is the whole thing with the human body, is there's no opinion, no belief, no new information, no approach. The only thing you can do is allow God's design of the human body to work, or on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles, another one of our fourths, let God's design of the dogs stay natural, okay? Our information applies to all dogs on letting dogs stay natural, but we specialize in purebred standard poodles. So we discuss on these two sides of In the Image Clothing Company here that I've mentioned, eating, sleeping, standing, walking, sitting, breathing, hydration, everything we do in our lives as dogs, as human beings, letting dogs stay natural. A lot of our information on In the Image Clothing Company Poodles applies to a lot of animals across the earth as well, because we live in this modern man-made world placed onto God's natural earth. Okay? There's only one way the body works. That's what I mean. There's no new information to this. I know it sounds weird to people. I'm standing right over top a little 1.5 foot tall thistle plant that's dead. Winter here in Utah County. We live up Utah as In the Image Clothing Company. For the sake of the beautiful, diverse nature, church history in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and just doing what we do, things for the environment, okay, for the planet. They're making noise. There's only one way the human body could ever work. I don't have an opinion or a sales pitch, but it's a mechanical machine, okay? Bones are only shaped and lengthed, if you will, okay? The way that they are. They're only the length that they are. The ends of bones connect to the ends of other bones through tendons. Do I know what I'm talking about? Ligaments are connecting bones to bones, and between there's just a layer of cartilage, just a small layer of cushioning that can't be worn out by things not tracking in line and meshing the only way they can. Muscles connect to bones through tendons. They only pull. The human body only pulls. Is a video under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here, even in what seems like a push. It's just muscles on the back side of a hinge joint pulling, actually, to extend the hinge joint. Even when our hands going farther from us, we're pulling the triceps together from the elbow up to the top of the shoulder joint to extend the arm. Okay. This video's title, man, this is a huge thing, because this is a big point, is everything in the body just has a neutral. It has a situation. What I mean is it has a location that it's placed in, and it can't do anything else, okay? Keeping elbows at the natural waist is a huge focus. It's also a video's title under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. I show it like this, and this is how it is, meaning this is a good way that you can see that I couldn't have an opinion on it or take credit for any information we give on truth. Truth is apart from all of us. God designed the body. I didn't design my body. You didn't design yours, but there is a universal human design, and I can show it in ways where you can understand it. There's no dispute. It's impossible to train the human body to do anything, and it always has been. Okay? The natural waist, the elbow. I'll wait for this engine and, you know, all the noise coming from this vehicle to get slightly quieter at least before I speak this, because in the elbow, we've got a radius and ulna, two bones in the forearms, okay, from the wrist up to the elbow, and they allow for rotations, internal rotation or external rotation from the neutral. I'm not shaking my head at them as if, like, they should be quieter. I'm just like, it's just so silly how there's always surrounding sounds where there is, and it's fine. It's just, it is funny. I understand. I could film these videos anywhere I could possibly choose to film these videos. We just do it as we do, okay? It's just authentic. It's just real. It's just another date-marked documentation under In The Image Clothing Company's main side. In this case, one of our forwards, though, to us, okay? Bro, I'm just gonna wait. He's not in the wrong at all. I'm just not either. Okay? The elbow meets the radius and ulna with the upper arm bone, which is the humerus, meaning those three bones meet at the elbow joint, okay? There's rotations from the elbow out to the fingertips in the forearm. There is extending or contracting, okay, closing or opening of the hinge joint of the elbow. The elbows, they sit at the natural waist, above the hip bones, but below the lowest ribs. There's like a little area there where there's no bones, regardless of how you carry fat, okay? The natural waist is an area where there's no bones until you come into the spine, at the center of the body. There's a center to the body. There's a center line to Earth's gravity, okay? A vertical pull straight down, perpendicular with the surface of the planet that our feet are on. The human body has a center line, though, as well as Earth's center line to gravity's pull, so these things have to mesh, okay? The sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and our jaw are in the center. The jaw stabilizes the entire body. Dogs have the same things, doing the same functions, although dogs' spines are horizontal and human beings' spines are vertical, okay? But the human body really does only have one way it could ever work. It has opposing bends. The ankles bend backward, so above them, the knees can bend forward. Above those, the hips bend backward. So the lower back can bend forward, the mid back bends backward, and then the upper back bends forward. It's front to back and front to back and front to back through the whole body, although it starts back to front at the ankles. They bend backward, okay, to start above our feet. And the feet oppose the center line of the human body at the base, gripping arches inward and keeping us vertical. Okay. So, a lot of what we're going to discuss in this video about muscles that are between the shoulder and the head, really spanning from the shoulder to the head, okay, is the feet. We're going to talk a lot about the feet because that's where it starts on Earth's gravity from our foundation up. The body can be affected from top down, but it can also be, and more obviously or more understandably to most, we'll say it like that. Yeah, because maybe it's not obvious at all to some. It can be affected from the bottom up. And that's going to be the biggest focus because Earth's gravity, right? Staying over Earth's gravity is a huge point. A lot of videos under In The Image Clothing Company's main site here talk about gravity, like keeping our bodies over Earth's gravity, staying in your center line, your center of gravity. The human body is just mechanics. Why you can't stretch the body. You can stretch your body all you want, but there's only one way it can stay vertical on Earth's gravity's pull. It just has these opposing bends, and they just have to be equally opposing each other. It's physics and mathematics and mechanics. It's impossible to train to a centered pull of gravity. It's impossible to train to a neutral, and the body has those neutrals, okay, to everything in its functioning, because there are opposing sides, right? Like pulling muscles to open a hinge or pulling muscles to close a hinge. Opposing muscles. The biceps pull to close, the triceps pull to open when we're talking about the elbow, okay? Or, contract to bend or contract to extend, okay? There's only one way these things can happen. I thought that airplane was one of those little drones. It's an airplane. It's just really white, and it looked small and close. It's a relatively small airplane, but it's farther than I thought it was at first. I was honestly confused. That's why I stopped. I mean, that really, genuinely took me off guard because, it's fairly common to see people flying those little drone camera things around here nowadays where it's legal to. And so I was wondering if maybe for, the construction, they were filming it. I don't know. It wasn't, though. It was an airplane. Anyway, the body has opposing functions, opposing bends, opposing sides of functionality to the neutral. Okay, the neutral wrist is straight out the outside of the forearm, down and out the pinky finger. The neutral feet point straight forward from the pinky toes. There's a video Dante and I filmed here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled The Pinky Toes and the Pinky Fingers, because they're the neutrals. Pinky finger is the neutral of the wrist, and the pinky toe is the neutral of the ankle with those gripped arches, okay? We have hand arches, we have feet arches, they correlate with each other. The hand arches are just the rounding to the natural open palm. Will never be there if the feet are altered. This is what I'm saying. The even workings, it's not opposition. And in this case, these two muscles, the sternocleidomastoid and the upper trapezius, and I'll discuss more of what those are and where throughout this video. They're not opposing muscles. They are not directly opposing muscles, but what was I saying? Because I was saying that for a reason, correlating it with something else in the body. Well, yeah, the hands. You'll never have an open palm if your feet are altered. You'll never have, normally working. That's why I was saying they're not opposing muscles. It's not that the sternocleidomastoid is opposing what the upper trapezius is doing, but they work with each other, and they'll never work together. That's what I mean. It's not that they're not going to ever equally oppose each other, because that's not what they do anyway, but they'll never just work together in a neutral position. That's why I got caught up on why I was explaining it the way I was, because there's certain muscles in the body that have to work evenly with their opposing muscle. Otherwise, they don't work because the body stabilizes. That's what I'm saying. There's two sides to everything. So one side is pulling against the pull of the other side, and then there's a neutral or a center and in between to those two sides. So that's how the body works. That's how we stay vertical, as we stabilize. Okay, this front to back opposing bend from the ankles up to the neck. Okay, the neck, or the cervical spine, which is the tallest third of the back, the uppermost third of the back, that's what it is, right? The neck is really the spine. The spine's broken up into three parts. So we can talk about the neck, but the neck is not something separate from the spine. The spine starts at the top of our hips, or our pelvis, and it comes up. There's three separate parts to it: the lumbar, the thoracic, and then the cervical spine, which is really the neck. And it stops at the base of the skull, in the very back of our head, okay? The base of the rear of the skull. That's important to know because we're discussing two muscles that connect to the skull in this video: the sternocleidomastoid and the upper trapezius, okay? The upper trapezius is one of the three trapezius muscles. There's an upper trapezius, a mid trapezius, and a lower trapezius. The upper trapezius muscle, one of the two muscles we're really discussing in this video, okay? Let me show you where it is. It connects to the top of the shoulder blade, okay? On our upper backs, we have these two big bones opposing the spine, meaning on either side of the spine, there's these two big bones. I'll turn around. Watch my back move. Okay, the bones, the big bones on my upper back, they sit behind the rib cage, and they connect to the spine through muscles, okay? The upper trapezius connects the top of the shoulder blade bone, or the scapula bone, to the spine. The mid trapezius connects the middle area of the scapulas, or shoulder blades, to the spine. And then the lower trapezius connects the more bottom part of the scapulas, or shoulder blades, to the spine. So the upper trapezius pull those scapulas up and in to the spine. The mid trapezius pull the scapulas pretty well just straight into the spine. And then the lower trapezius pull those scapulas, or shoulder blades, right? Just two names for the same bone. These big bones on our upper backs, scapula or shoulder blade, okay? Those lower trapezius, the lowest third of the trapezius muscles, connecting from the scapulas or shoulder blades to the spine, they pull in and down on those scapulas to the spine, okay? So watch my scapulas move, my shoulder blades move. There's a video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled The Natural Scapula Position, and I'll show my scapulas or shoulder blades move. But what I'm saying with the elbow and it's sitting at the natural waist is the elbow is exactly the same thing as the shoulder. There's the upper arm bone called the humerus, and it is the shoulder at the top end of it, but it is the elbow at the bottom end of it. So the elbow's at the natural waist, is the shoulder at its neutral height. Okay, everything in the body has a neutral position. Okay, I'm going to show my scapulas move, my shoulder blades move, but first I want to explain this, because this will help you understand how everything in the body has a neutral position. Because it does. Everything in the body has a neutral position. The feet only ever work barefooted. There is only one way the feet work. There is only one way the feet are shaped. The importance of zero drop shoes. And I could go on and on and on with quite a few, but those are 4 videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here discussing the feet directly. The feet have a neutral. And where that neutral is the surface of our planet Earth. The feet can lift up from their neutral, dorsiflexion, lifting the toes, back to the neutral, plantar flexion, or pointing the toes, and then back up to neutral. The surface of the Earth is horizontal, it's perpendicular, like I said earlier in this, with the vertical pull of gravity. Okay, A 90-degree angle there, okay? Yeah. So that's what I mean. It's impossible to train the body, but you place heels under your feet. Heels, okay? Heels on man-made shoes. I'm like looking for the airplane this time. I don't know where it is. You know, I've given context. There's a flight school in this town. There's a lot of little planes that fly over here, which is, you know, ironic that I film in this town so much. There's airplane noise often where there is, and it's fine. I see the plane now, okay? That one's dark in color, like black. Okay. Opposition. Pulling to close a hinge, pulling to open a hinge. White airplane, black airplane. Warmth, cold. Light and dark. Oh yeah, light colored plane, dark colored plane. Anyway, there's opposition in all things, okay? Under the gospel of Jesus Christ, understanding of life, that's what we discuss, okay? The gospel of Jesus Christ is the truth of all things. Don't be surprised, it's in our company name, okay? Don't be surprised that we're discussing the gospel of Jesus Christ where we are. We do on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. We're designed in the image of Jesus Christ, okay? God himself, God had to first look like us to design us in his image. Makes sense, right? So that's what it says in the Holy Bible. That's what it says in the Book of Mormon, okay? We're designed in the image of God. There is a universal human design, okay? There just is. And what I'm saying is we have another fourth of In the Image Clothing Company titled, that is, In the Image Clothing Company Podcast. We're on episode 203 of In the Image Clothing Company Podcast as of today's date. Okay, the 15th of January, 2026. And we just have deep discussions on life. You don't have to be religious or believe in anything, but we're all human beings. We're all the same thing. We're placed on the same earth. We're designed by the same God. And so there's truth to things, even if you don't think so, or even if you want to choose to believe in something. Well, you had to first be there to be able to believe in something. Where'd you come from? And you can't decide where you came from because you came here before you started deciding things. All right? You had to be born first to have opinions. You know, you can't have an opinion on where you came from. Don't believe me. Don't believe In the Image Clothing Company, any of our team members, or any of our information. Don't believe Evan Strong, me, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, in this for life to lead it. We say a lot of things that are bold, opposing what a lot of other people say. Well, don't believe it. Truth is truth. We don't get to decide it, but if we're speaking things that are true apart from all of us, then there you go. Take the truth within what we say if it's there. If it's there, even. Yeah. And there you go. Because that's the thing. You'll never get enough of what's not for you. So many people are training their bodies, stretching day after day, okay? And it's not working. People work out. And once you stop working out, all the benefit you got from working out goes away. Back to the human body's only normal. The only normal heart rate per minute. The only normal breathing, respiratory rate per minute. The only normal body temperature. The only normal amount of food that it can have in it naturally at one time. Same with hydration and whatever it could be in the body. Natural is the goal. The goal is natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. The goal is natural, okay? Because there's a neutral, there's a natural, and there's a normal. Those are synonyms within the functioning of dogs and human beings. The balance to our earth and its ecosystems that keep us alive, okay? There's only truth to life. That's what I mean. You can't have an opinion on it. Neither could I. You can't decide it, neither could I. It was here before all of us. The earth we were all placed onto at different times. Yeah. And a third. Yeah, okay. The body, man. I hit the thistle with my foot. As I move my foot, I hit the thistle with it. The feet. They only work how they do, okay? Neutral. On the surface of the earth, on the flat earth that's a globe, okay, the surface of the earth though is horizontal, opposing, well, it's not really opposing, but it's perpendicular, like we were saying, to the vertical pole of gravity. the vertical pull of gravity meshes with the body's center line. But there's a center line of the body front and back, left and right, and in all the ways, because we've got to stay standing up, or you fall over. So you put heels underneath your feet's heels in modern man-made shoes. There's only two options. You put a heel under your feet. It's just like sticking a wedge from the rear of your foot forward and just lifting up your heels. You're either going to just fall forward like this, or the only other option really is to change, quote, the natural bend in the knee, unquote. A video Dante and I filmed here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. There's just a natural bend to the knee because there's a natural bend to the things below it and above it, the ankles and the hips, okay? The natural curve in the spine, another video Dante and I have filmed and placed here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company under the gift of video. It's a permanent documentation of truth that we didn't decide, so we couldn't take credit for it. But there's a natural curve in the spine because there's a natural bend in the hips below it. Because there's a natural bend in the knees below them being the hips. And that's starting with the bend at the ankles, below the knees. There's only one way the human body could ever work. You just have to work with gravity, or you're working against it. You're not going to defy gravity. Defying gravity is actually an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. You're not going to do it. You're not. You are not. It's a universal law. It's apart from all of us. The universe has a name. That's another episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, by the way. His name is Jesus Christ. The universe. Anyway, the actual universal thing, everything else seems to be so universal until it doesn't work for you. Oh, what the heck? Wow. Yikes. Okay. The body has a neutral. The elbows at the natural waist is the shoulder at its neutral height. The shoulder is made up of three bones. The collarbone, or the clavicle, two words for the same bone, connects from the top of the sternum and the center line of the body, where all the ribs connect in the front, okay, at that sternum, and they wrap around the body and connect to the spine in the rear. At the very top of this sternum, we've got the clavicle or the collarbone. It comes up and out to the very peak of the edge of the shoulder. Up there, it meets the top of the humerus, or the upper arm bone, which is the other end of the elbow, okay? And then on the rear, it's those bones, the scapulas or the shoulder blades, and I'll show mine move right now. Watch this. I don't want to be weird about it, but I really want to do it that much. Meaning I didn't do that just to be silly. Sometimes I'll do things just about only because it's silly, right? Certain times under video like this. But no, I moved them that much to really show. It's really rare. Yeah. Just in general, but especially in modern day, you know. The 15th of January 2026, for human beings to have that much natural motion in their scapulas or their shoulder blades. They should move. The scapulas really move. They sit behind the rib cage and they just move all around the rib cage. Yeah. Like all around the rear part of it. They should naturally. They would naturally. God designed the body to work. God designed the body to work, and it would. There'd be no reason the body wouldn't work unless we altered it. So, you know, chronic patterning, scar tissue and bone spurs build up in the body through clothing. The only thing physically placed on us, it makes sense when we have context. We don't know what we don't know. We can't be held accountable for what we don't know. We say this phrase often. God said it first. It's in the Word of God. It's in the Holy Bible, as far as I know. Might be in the Book of Mormon. It might be in both. They work alongside each other, those two books. Anyway, the point with God designing the body to work, and why I'm saying it here, is because He did. You can have an amputation, a deformity, a birth defect, a major surgery, anything that's altered your body a little bit, quite a bit, and sets you apart. a little bit or quite a bit. We're all different in the ways we are. We do have to, though, do all that we can in our own individualistic situations, get as close as we can with the physical functioning of our bodies being just the mechanical machine that they are to the universal human design. Because there's a center line to it and there's a center line to gravity. And we have to do things like breathe. It takes the entire body to some degree to stabilize in every breath we take. The jaws playing a huge role in stabilization in all ways of the body, but the whole body. Even when you're sleeping, muscles are contracting and working and activating. That's how you breathe. Even when you're unconscious or subconscious, like sleeping. If you're breathing, you're breathing. It's taking musculature to do. The diaphragms are muscles, and they contract and pull open a void space to have an exchange of gases happen. You don't actually suck air in. You're just contracting muscles, and it opens a cavity for air to rush into because the exchange in pressure that happens from the outside of the body in our atmosphere to the inside of the body in the space within our lungs. The lungs are within the rib cage. Scapulas sit behind the rib cage. The collarbones sit in front. The shoulder blades sit behind the rib cage. The clavicles sit in front. Okay. The sternocleidomastoid connects to the collarbones or the clavicle in the front on the low end. And the upper trapezius connects to the scapula or shoulder blades in the rear on the low end. Okay. Yeah, this is a big video. This is what happens if you place a heel under your foot's heel, a man-made shoe with an elevated heel. Everything goes, how am I going to show this? This way. I can show it however I show it, but for the sake of the camera seeing it. Okay. Yeah, the neutral wrist correlates with the neutral feet. The neutral pelvis, from posteriorly tucking underneath us to neutral, and then anteriorly rotating away from us because the hips already bend backward, which is them coming lower in the front. So the farther we go into the bend they already have, the more we're just bent on Earth's vertical pull of gravity. Okay. All these neutrals are stemming at the feet because of gravity. And so the hands, meaning the pinky finger, which is the neutral wrist, traveling up the forearm. If we lift our feet, heels off the ground, our neutral wrist goes like this and drops. Okay, back on the ground, we're neutral again. The feet are neutral from lifting the toes, dorsiflexion, or pointing the toes, plantar flexion. So the wrists are neutral from coming up or going down. In the feet we have a lot going on. Bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles gripping arches. We've got different length toes. Okay. The bottom of the feet is pointing the toes or plantar flexion. That's the sole of the shoes. Zero drop, the term in any brand of shoe, or just the earth. It's horizontal, under our feet. Okay, the same thing as zero drop, the term in shoes. No heels on the shoes. There's no heels under your heels, naturally in life. This is crazy, okay? It's just truth. It's just always been this way. There's no breakthrough that could be had. The human body has always been what it's been. Since before there was a human being, it had to be shaped how it was and working how it did. Always. God has always existed. The same yesterday, today, and forever. We're designed in His image. It's just what it is, man. I couldn't have an opinion on it. Or an approach. Okay? The feet have another half to pointing the toes or plantar flexion, and it's lifting the toes from the neutral. dorsiflexion, that's the top of the shoe. That's the shoe laces. It's just ropes we're weaving across the feet. There's only one way the top of the feet are shaped. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is what we title just how you can weave a rope across your feet on the top without altering the way the feet work. That determines the shape of the upper of the shoe as well, meaning the upper part of the shoe, right? It's called the upper, like the top part of the shoe. It's on top of your foot. You're not gonna walk by just focusing on the bottom of your feet. You have to lift your foot, then you move it, and then you point it, and then you lift the other one, and you move it, and you point it, and lift and point, and lift and point, and dorsiflex and plantar flex, back and forth opposition. It's in all things, or you don't move. Physically, as a human being, the mechanical machine that the human body is, it only does what it does. Can never do anything else. It's impossible to get it to do anything. How could you? Bones are only structured how they are. Muscles only pull the endpoints where they connect to bones through tendons directly in line. You'll never get it to do anything. You can allow it to work, and that's it. You don't have to purchase in the Image Clothing Company clothing to allow your body to work. We give a lot of free modifications in clothing. There's a lot of imbalances in clothing. There's a lot of unnatural, artificial, synthetic things in clothing, in our food, in our things in life that we interact with. Everything. There's a lot of things nowadays that are just not even real. But we'll always have good clothing. In the Image Clothing Company clothing, in the Image Clothing Company dog products, clothing, essentially. Collars, leashes, harnesses, slip leads, bandanas, whatever we do sell as time progresses. There you go. But if we never wore clothing, our bodies couldn't be altered. Oversized clothing, imbalances of any kind, and boy are there many in modern day, in clothing. And ropes, like shoelaces or drawstrings, anything tied one side over the other, around or on the body, these things damage the body. This is where that comes from. The chronic patterning, scar tissue in the body, bone spurs build up in the body. We live in a right-handed world as well. Okay, and 85%, give or take, of the population of human beings are right-handed, but there's a center line to the body. Okay, so we just discussed that a lot. We'll just be imbalanced if we're doing things on one side of our body. When there's immovable bones in the center line, like the sternum and the spine, and the feet arches have to evenly oppose the center line of the body to grip arches inward, you know, keeping 2 points of contact in the feet. A video Dante and I filmed at beautiful Utah Lake here in Utah County, okay, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company is where we placed it. There's only one way the body works, man. But the feet do grip arches from the outside in. The outside toes are the shortest ones, they're the pinky toes. If you lift your heel off the ground with a man-made shoe's heel, your pinky toe just can't reach the ground to grip in and be neutral, straightforward. I mean, it's just like the hand. The hands and the feet are just about the exact same. Just about, really. In so many ways. There's only one difference in the amount of bones in each. There's 5 fingers, there's 5 toes. They're each different lengths. The hands are different because they work around the thumb. But the feet have arches, essentially round, okay, and different length toes. So we roll evenly off the ends of our different length toes, but the pinky toe's got to be able to be on the ground. You lift the heel of the foot off the ground, the pinky toe can't reach, and so the foot drops outward into external rotation because the body's got rotations. From the neutral, we've got internal rotation, back to the neutral, external rotation. This is in the forearms, and then you lock the arms at the elbow, and it's in the entire arms. From the hand to the shoulder, the hand is the shoulder. With the elbow in between, you lock the elbow out. And the hand and the shoulder will do the exact same thing as each other because it's now just one straight line. In the lower legs, internal rotation and external rotation from the neutral, pinky toe straight forward. And then you lock the entire leg out at the knee like we locked the arm out at the elbow. And the foot becomes the hip. We've got internal rotation and external rotation in the whole leg from the neutral. But there's a neutral, or there's no motion. You can't just go one way and be done. I mean, there's one side and then there's another side because there's a neutral. There's only going to be functioning if it's coming from somewhere. It comes from the neutral first. Then we can come back to the neutral, whatever side we went to, and then go to the other side or the opposing side from there. There's only one way the human body could ever work. I couldn't possibly have an opinion on it. Neither could you. And I know there's people out there who are supposed specialists, been going to school. Yeah, a lot of people have been going to school like half my life, or maybe more than I've even lived. Amount of years wise, you know, I'm 26 years old currently on the 15th of January, 2026. Yeah. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. My name is Evan Strong. I don't care how long you've been going to school. It's impossible to get the body to do anything. You've got a perpendicular angle with Earth's vertical gravity pull and then the horizontal surface of the planet. Okay. You've got a neutral to the feet, dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion. You've got a neutral to the pelvis, posterior versus anterior rotation. This exactly the same angle as the feet flat on the ground. Okay. Traveling up, that's where we get the natural curve in the spine. You know, anyway, it's just impossible. It's impossible to train the body to do anything without reshaping bones. There's an episode of, it's not an episode, but there's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here titled Reshaping Bones. But what I mean is, after we've gotten into patterning out of our only neutral inline tracking position, we can reshape the bones only back to their only in-line tracking position. Muscles just connect to bones through tendons and pull directly in line, with the bones only shaped and lengthed the way that they are. Okay, it's impossible to get the body to do anything. It always has been. So I don't care who says what. It's impossible to train posture. Okay, it's the same thing, just worded differently, as saying it's impossible to train the body to get it to do anything. But a lot of people try to focus on their shoulders positioning and think they can do something about it by like trying to get it to do something. No, it's impossible. It's impossible. This is the thing. This video's title under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. The sternocleidomastoid is in the front. The upper trapezius is in the rear. On the low ends. So the upper trapezius muscle, it connects from the top of that scapula or shoulder blade, and there's one on each side of the body, right? Opposing the center line. And then as it does that, it comes up and connects to the top third of the neck. Well, no, the whole neck. The top third of the spine, called the cervical spine, it's just the neck of the human being. And it's connecting along the vertebrae of the spine. The spine is made up of a lot of little bones that move with each other, okay, called vertebrae. And as it connects up the whole neck, it comes up and connects to the very base of the rear of the skull, where the spine meets into the skull. And it's just only a little area on the rear of the head, on the very back of the head. That's where the upper trapezius pulls the shoulders up from the scapulas to. Okay, it connects to the base of the rear of the skull. So this is what I'm saying. With the second part of the video's title here, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company, the upper trapezius are in the rear. The upper trapezius are always only in the rear of the body. It can never come to the front of the body. The scapulas are the low end of the upper trapezius. Okay, the scapulas are shoulder blades. Scapulas or shoulder blades is what I mean. Two different names for the same bones. Those big bones. I showed mine moving here, right, in this video, under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. Anyway, yeah, yeah, dude. It's impossible to try to get your shoulders to be in any position other than they're only mathematically able to connect to the other parts of the human being position. Let's say it like that, because there you go. I mean, yeah. Tractor driving on the road over here. Anyway, I am gonna wait. At least a few seconds for the tractor to get a little quieter, because this is huge. There's an airplane as well, but it is what it is. You'll be able to hear me say the words or read my lips or put subtitles on if you can or whatever. You'll get the information in this, even if it's pretty loud with the surrounding sounds. But this is just the truth, man. Yeah, shoot. I kind of want to collapse to the ground. It's just as real as it gets. It's as obvious as it is once you see it. Okay, phrases I say when I do under In The Image Clothing Company. Me, Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company, in this for life to lead it. Okay, because it's just as real as it is, dude. You couldn't have an opinion that mattered at all. And how the human body works, that's impossible. I'm not mocking people, but false information is really misleading. We give it where we give it if we think we're right and we're just wrong. But yeah, no, it's always been the exact same. The human being, these bones on the back, the upper back, the scapulas or the shoulder blades, they're sitting behind the bones of the ribs. They're never going to come in front of the rib cage without literally breaking through the ribs to come forward. So the shoulder blades or the scapulas are always behind the head. The ribs come around and connect into the spine. The scapulas or the shoulder blades sit behind those ribs, and the spine that those ribs are connecting into come up and the spine is the very, very back or rear part of the skull of the human being. Yeah, the bones will never come forward. The scapulas or the shoulder blades, they'll never be able to crash through the rib cage without breaking ribs. Bones, okay? Physical bones. The ribs bend when we breathe to expand and contract the rib cage in 360 degrees, meaning all the way around, so we can just get a full breath in, okay? Fill the lungs that is being, the lungs are encapsulated by the rib cage, okay? They're just kind of like balloons. The rib cage is what it's literally worded as. It's a cage to protect the lungs, okay? The scapulas will never come forward farther than the rear of the ribs. The upper trapezius connects to the top of the scapulas on the very rear of the body of the human being. There's only one way the human body could ever work. It's always been the exact same. It will always be the exact same. It's impossible to train it to do anything. It's impossible. Mathematically impossible. Mechanically impossible. It's physics. I'm just a kid standing in a field. But this is the truth. I didn't decide any of this. Okay? Nobody could. No human being. God did when he designed the human body in his image. Golly. In the Image Clothing Company, man. Clothing. Okay. The only thing physically placed on the body. The scapulas sit behind the rib cage. On the top of the scapulas, we've got the upper trapezius connecting. And it pulls up from there, but where does it pull up to? The very base of the rear of the skull. Behind the body. Only. That's it. Muscles just pull two endpoints in line, where they connect to bones through tendons, okay? Okay. Airplanes flying through my videos make sound that's picked up through the microphone. Hi, Dante. And you can hear the airplane noise. I get it. I understand how the human body works. And so let me tell you, because it's not my choice, but I know how it operates. It's a mechanical machine. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. Okay? The upper trapezius, it pulls just vertically. From the top of the scapulas or shoulder blades sitting behind the rib cage up to the base of the very rear of the skull of the human being. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. But this is the thing. It's like, well, Evan Strong, how you saying this? There's a collarbone in the front. There's a scapula in the rear. Okay? Let's say the other names for the same bones. There's a clavicle in the front. There's a shoulder blade in the rear. Okay? So the rib cage is in the middle of a bone on the front and the bone on the rear. So why do the shoulders only ever work behind the head when you're saying there's a neutral to the body, front and back? Right? Well, because there is. And the shoulders can only sit where they sit, where the bones that are only shaped the way that they are meet, and where the muscles that only pull the endpoints that they're connected to bones in directly in line through to, okay, yeah, there's only one way it's going to mechanically operate. There's only one way it's going to work. You just hit physical bones into each other, and you can't do that and move, you know? Okay? That's why. Because even if you don't know any terminology, you don't know the anatomy of the body in a way where you can explain, you know, like technically what's happening, well, you've got your own body, dude, or sis, or whoever, anyone, human beings, all of you and I were the same. We couldn't decide how it works. You can find out, though. You don't have to go to a school to know that. I haven't gone to some schooling for anatomy, by the way. I mean, if you don't know, there's your context. Yeah, no, you don't need to. It only works how it does. I mean, I've looked at diagrams of the body, and I know the terminology of the things that I do, but the shoulders just connect behind the head. And that's it. Because this is the whole point, man. This is kind of like taking me off guard. It's great. I mean, it's not like it's going any way that it shouldn't. It's just that it's so huge. This video specifically. The collarbone is pivoting, okay? The collarbone's connected to the shoulder at one end of it directly through bones. It meets other bones, okay? The collarbone or clavicle meets the humerus or upper arm bone and the scapula or shoulder blade. The peak of the scapula or shoulder blade is called the acromion. There's 3 bones coming directly right together at the shoulder, which is one end of the collarbone. The other end of the collarbone, okay? Collarbone and clavicle, 2 names for the same thing. The end down here in the center of the body at the sternum, well, the sternum's a bone as well. So the collarbone connects to bones on both ends of it. Okay? At the center line of the body, at the top of the sternum, the collarbone or clavicle is connecting to a bone, the sternum. At the shoulder joint, the other end of the collarbone or clavicle, it's connecting to the upper arm bone, called the humerus, or the scapula, called the shoulder blade, which are bone. So the collarbone's directly connected to bones on both ends of it. Okay, the clavicle, same thing, different name, is connected to bones directly on both ends of it. It's just pivoting, it's just moving. It's determining where the shoulder goes, but it doesn't have any leniency. It's got bones on both ends of it. Okay, no muscles moving it. Well, between it and bones at its ends, just to be clear on what I mean, okay? It's just bone to bone and bone to bone on both ends of the collarbone. The scapulas, which are the things on the rear of the body, and you watched, right? You saw, if you did, in this video, under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company, what's the title? Let's just say the title is what I mean. I know what the title is if I can, say it here. Let's say it. The sternocleidomastoid is in the front. The upper trapezius is in the rear. Okay. On the rear of the body, where all that motion in those scapulas is, one end of the scapula, if you will, okay, one end, yes, let's say it like that, because yes, right? One end of the scapula, man, the airplane noise, man. These little planes too, they just kind of like subtly just fly over, They just make this drony sound. That's fine. This is a big video. Dante, I was just going to say Dante is sleeping. Right before I said his name, he lifted his head up. Yeah. We'll get to explaining what I mean about how it's different from front to back. And it just is. I'm just kind of waiting out the airplane noise, testing your patience too. Not intentionally on my part, but there you go, okay? We gotta wait for some things. This will change the rest of your life, truly, with this information. It has nothing to do with me, but it just will, because it's truth. Okay, I couldn't decide it. But I'm going to explain it really thoroughly. I mean, I've already explained quite a lot of things here pretty darn thoroughly in this one video alone. We do so much under the gift of video, under In The Image Clothing Company. Notice I'm just like back and forth, like on one foot than the other. I'm just like waiting. It's kind of like a clock ticking, you know? Waiting for the airplane noise to get maybe a little bit quieter is what I'm trying to wait for. Yeah, we do so much under video, okay? And we always will. That's a huge part of what and who we are as In The Image Clothing Company. So on the rear of the body, the scapula, one end of the scapula is the shoulder, where it's meeting the collarbone or clavicle and the humerus or the upper arm bone. Two names for the same bones there, two bones that the scapula meets. Now we've got three bones becoming the shoulder. These are just bones, just the ends of bones coming together. There's the shoulder joint, okay? Right where the edge seams of our top should sit, because it's a joint of material as well as a joint of bones in the body. It's seams of material as well as seams of bones in the body, okay? It's got to be as close as we can to the same location or the body just can't function. It'll build up chronic patterning, scar tissue, bone spurs, whatever it is that we could say that it is. Those things are what it is, but yeah, okay. Which is really what we do here under the main side of In The Image Clothing Company. We get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue and bone spurs, and we reshape bones only back to how they were before they got altered, okay? That's the only possible way to do that. Now, surgically, you can do whatever you want, but you'll damage your body if you're not trying to get it back to its only baseline workings. We have no say. That's an episode title of In The Image Clothing Company podcast. We have no say, okay? Just in general, God's in charge. No matter what anyone wants to believe, and he always has been, he always will be. The scapula on the rear of the body, sitting behind the rib cage, one end of it being connected to bones, okay? Clavicle, collarbone, humerus, upper arm bone, at the peak of the scapula, called the acromion. The other end of the scapula is those trapezius muscles. It's the rhomboids as well, connecting into the spine. So now we've got muscles. That's where the motion's coming from. Watch the muscles move my scapula closer to my spine. Okay? Shoulder blades, one on each side of the body. Shoulder blades, scapulas, they're pulling closer to the spine. Motion is coming through muscles, doing the only things muscles do, and pulling or contracting. Watch this. Okay? The muscles pull. Okay? Connecting from the scapulas or the shoulder blades to the spine. In the center line of the body. So that's the thing. The scapulas have functioning to them. You cute dog, Dante. He's just curling up like this. He didn't make that sound, but I did. The scapulas have muscles allowing for motion on one side of their functioning, okay? The collarbones have just bone to bone on both sides of their functioning, or both ends of the muscle. Well, sorry, not muscle, both ends of the bone. One end of the collarbone is connected to a bone. The other end of the collarbone is connected to a bone. One end of the scapula is connected to a bone, and really it's two bones. The other end of the scapula is connected to a muscle, okay? So this is what I'm saying. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. Where the motion comes from, as far as where it's stemming from, in the shoulders, these airplanes, man, I'm telling you. I wouldn't need to tell you. If you're listening to this, you can almost certainly hear the airplane noise, you know. But I'm telling you that I'm talking about it. And that's what I'm telling you. It's things about it, okay? So listen to this, because it applies to you. Even if you don't care to care, there's only one way your body works. And I, maybe never having met you and maybe never meeting you ever, I can tell you that. There's only one way your body works, and I know how it does. It could be different in ways than other human beings' bodies, but mechanically, yeah, I mean, it's just is what it is. The universal human design is what I mean. Yeah, it's just what it is. I didn't decide, but the motion's got to come from somewhere in the shoulder. Pivoting on the collarbone allows the collarbone to be involved, or the clavicle, okay, same thing as the collarbone, two different names for the same bone. It can be involved in the motion of the shoulder moving, and that's what the shoulder is. On the front side of it is the collarbone or clavicle being one of the three bones of the shoulder. And so the motion of the shoulder is coming with, let's say it like that, the collarbone pivoting. But there's no motion that can come from the collarbone. It's working with the motion that's stemming from muscles pulling. There's no motion of the skeletal system of the body unless there's muscles to move or cause motion in the mechanical machine of the human body to the bones, right? The muscles cause the motion to happen in and to and through the bones. Bones are just bones connected to each other through ligaments until there's muscles that connect to them through tendons that can then pull to move the bones. Only pull, okay, with opposing muscles. Pulling to open, pulling to close, pulling to come up, pulling to come down, whatever it is, pulling to rotate in, pulling to rotate out, okay, internal rotation versus external rotation. Muscles only pull, the human body only pulls. In the Image Clothing Company, there you go. Okay, we just discuss it as it is. There's no opinion. There's no opinion to how the body works. We can be saying things wrong if we are, but this is not wrong. I couldn't discuss it this thorough and have it be some kind of like thing that's wrong. Did you hear that? It's like the airplane just shut off its engine. I mean, they do that where they do that. But yeah, you could hear it. Anyway, the scapula sits behind the body. Where the motion's coming from for the entire shoulder, really, okay, see this as I am showing what's really happening. Don't think I'm just saying something like I don't know exactly what's going on. Where the motion's coming from for the shoulder is the muscles connecting to the scapula and then into the spine, moving the scapula. And as the scapula moves from the muscles pulling it to a different location than where it previously was, the collarbone is just pivoting. The collarbone doesn't have muscles separating it from bones. That's what I mean by don't think I'm just saying something like I think I know what's going on. There's muscles connecting to the collarbone. Okay, one of them being one of the muscles I'm discussing in this, we'll get to, I haven't quite said it yet, but the sternocleidomastoid. But then also the pectoral, right? The pectoralis. Okay, the pec muscle, the pectorals, you know, that connects to the collarbone. There's muscles connecting to the collarbone, but not independently. Okay? The collarbone doesn't have motion that can come without it always being connected to bones permanently on both ends. Okay, the edge of the shoulder and the sternum in the center of the front of the body. The scapula on the rear, that's really where the motion of the shoulder is coming from, is the scapula. And how the scapula is moving is the muscles connecting it to the spine. All three of the trapezius, and well, I'm not going to try to say all the muscles because the rotator cuff muscles, the rhomboids, I don't even know every muscle in the body as of today's date, the 15th of January 2026, but there's many muscles connecting the scapula to the spine, okay? And many muscles connecting the scapula to the upper arm bone or the humerus. wow, okay, I don't mean to say many muscles, but, well, yes, I do. The rotator cuff. Anyway, okay, in the ways that there's just a lot of motion happening from the scapula. That's my point, though. The collarbone's got the pectorals connecting to it, and the sternocleidomastoid. I don't know if there's any other muscles, really, right? I mean, they connect to the collarbone. If there are, that's not the point of how many exactly and which ones. The point is it can't go anywhere different than its two bones that it's connected to. Okay? 3 bones, sure. Scapula, humerus, sternum. At the ends of the collarbone, it's always connected to a bone direct. The motion's coming from the rear of the body. It's coming from the scapulas, and they have so much motion all around the rear of the rib cage. Okay? Shoulders only ever work behind the head. So we've talked about the upper trapezius, and it's in the rear of the body, connecting to the scapula. In the front of the body, the other part of the video's title here, okay, the sternocleidomastoid is in the front. That's what we're discussing now, because we discussed the upper trapezius is in the rear. Even though the sternocleidomastoid is in the front of the body, at the low end of it, connecting to the collarbone here, and the sternum, there you go, okay. At the upper end of the sternocleidomastoid, it's connecting to the rear of the skull, behind the ear. Okay, so we've got this muscle. It's called the sternocleidomastoid. It connects from right behind the ear on the skull back there. And it comes down, it barely clears the jawbone. The rear of the lower jawbone, called the mandible, and the jaw is stabilizing the entire body. Here's some videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company about the jaw. Eating and drinking with the left hand, which really just means non-dominant. In this right-handed world, you could be left-handed, but keeping the jaw centered through eating. Okay, more videos under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company about the jaw. The importance of the corners of the mouth. The importance of even jaw musculature. The jaw is the shoulder because it's connected directly, okay, to the shoulder through tendons, muscles. There's a lot of muscles underneath the jaw coming down. That's what I mean. There's muscles that connect to the collarbone from the jaw. Yikes. I don't have any kind of opinion that I could have, matter. I don't have an opinion on what I'm saying here. I wouldn't be making this video like this if I thought I was just trying to convince someone of something, like a breakthrough I thought I had that I could take credit for. No, I'm just discussing the truth because there's only one way the body can function. That's it. It's not my choice. But what it will do is change your entire life because obvious reasons. If it's not obvious, it's not, but your body is your life. The only thing that we have as an episode title of In The Image Clothing Company podcast are human bodies. It's the only thing we actually have. Everything else can leave, but once your body leaves, your life as a human being leaves, okay? And this will change your life, just to know how your body works, because you have one. It's only doing what it's doing, even if you don't know what it's doing. Clothing's affecting it, even if you don't care to care. Clothing is affected by Earth's gravity's pull just as much as our human bodies are affected by Earth's gravity's pull. Clothing's the only thing physically placed on our human bodies. Our human bodies are just a physical thing. Clothing is the only fix, at least to the physical problems we discuss under In The Image Clothing Company, and really it's just the only fix to human beings' physical problems. There's so much context with that, but yeah, man, it is, okay? So, as the sternocleidomastoid comes from right behind the ear, connecting up at the skull, back behind the ear, it's still behind the body, because the center line of the head, from front to rear, is the ear. The center line of the head from left to right is the nose. The center line, if you will, of the head from top to bottom is the eyes. Really. I mean, at least give or take. Behind the ears is the back of the head. That's where the sternocleidomastoid connects, okay? So it's still on the back of the body at the top end. Even though as it comes down and passes the rear of the lower jawbone, there it is. It connects to the collarbone, also called clavicle, and it splits off a little bit and connects to the sternum, right at the very top of the sternum there, okay? Right where the collarbone connects to the sternum, two immovable bones just hitting each other. At one end of the collarbone on the front of the body, just like on the other end of the collarbone on the front of the body, if you will, but at the edge of the shoulder, it's connecting two immovable bones just directly through just bone-to-bone contact. I mean, there's cartilage cushioning between there, and the ligaments connect the bones together, but there's no muscles to cause motion. The motion's coming from the back, from literally the back, but we can say the back of the body, which we call our back, okay, which is the scapulas. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. The scapulas only ever sit behind the ribs, which connect into the spine. The spine comes up and connects to the very rear of the skull, which is the head, okay? The shoulders only ever could possibly work behind the head. That's the point of this video, by the way. Is it's not an even split. It's not like just because at the low end of the musculature, the sternocleidomastoid connects in the front and the upper trapezius connects in the rear. So you could think, this is incorrect, but you could think the shoulders have a neutral front to rear of the body in the center, front to rear. Now the shoulders still only ever sit behind the body. Okay, behind the spine, behind the rib cage, behind the head. Okay, behind the body, the shoulders work, that's it, behind the head, behind the body, behind the head, behind the body, the shoulders work. I mean, they work like at the sides of the body, really, but it's behind the head is the point, where the musculature that's supporting them connects. The sternocleidomastoid, short, connects in the front. Okay, the first part of this video's title. The sternocleidomastoid is in the front. It is on the collarbone or clavicle and the sternum in the center of the body in the front, where the ribs come and connect into. It comes up though and it connects to the rear of the head. Okay, it comes up and connects to the rear of the head. That's just how it works. Okay, one on each side, by the way, like the upper trapezius or any of the trapezius, and really a lot of muscles in the body. There's going to be one on each side if they're connecting to the center line for sure. There'd have to be. Anyway, just in the ways that muscles just connect to the center line to oppose it, to keep us vertical, like the feet gripping inward, opposing the center line, right? The feet arches keeping us vertical. Yeah, musculature just connects to the center. The pectorals connect to the center in the front. The pectoralis, minor and major, okay? The pecs, the chest muscles, okay? Whatever you want to say. Try to say it correct is what I mean. I'm trying to say it correct so I can explain it well for this video's sake. That's why I'm making the video, okay? The gift of video. Another date-marked documentation under In the Image Clothing Company's main site. One of our fourths, okay? Yeah, on the rear of the body, that's the point. The trapezius, they oppose the center line. Upper, mid, lower trapezius, okay, rhomboids, all the muscles. Latissimus dorsi. Yeah. Quadratus lumborum. Yeah, the muscles on the rear of the body, they connect to the center line, opposing the center line. And so there's two sternocleidomastoid, one on each side. There's two upper trapezius, one on each side of the body, left to right from the center line. But even though the sternocleidomastoid connects in the front of the body on its low end, it still comes up and connects to the rear of the head, behind the ears. The upper trapezius connect at the rear of the body on the top of the shoulder blades or scapulas, which are behind the ribs, and it comes up and connects to the very base of the rear of the skull, but also just the spine, which is the very most rear of the body. So the point is, the shoulders only ever work behind the head. I don't know if you'll see these birds in the frame here. There's some big birds. You might have heard them making some noise through the construction noise if you did. They are big. I think they're, I'm not going to say what I think they are. We'll just see if they come over the, you know, come through the lens here. These are cranes. I think you'll get to see them. Yeah, those are cranes. Those are big birds. I'm talking like 7, 8 plus feet wide birds. Like big. Those are big birds, man. Those are really big birds. No, there's bigger birds where there are, you know. But those are big birds. Oh my gosh, those are big birds. Cranes mate for life, as far as I know. So that's a pair of cranes. This is Dante, my standard poodle. Okay, that's awesome though. Just to see. That's fairly common here in Utah, but they're still just so cool. It's so cool. All right, so we have the shoulders only ever working behind the head. And a big focus is a lot of people think that you can train your body, first off, okay? The noise, man. I'll explain this if I get to. If it cuts for the sake of battery percentage or storage space in this device, that's one thing. I've said enough in here to say what I'm really saying with this, to give a deep explanation on what's really going on with these two muscles, the sternocleidomastoid and the upper trapezius. Man, the noise, man. Man, the noise, man. Yeah. I'll wait for as long as I wait, okay, to have a little bit less loud airplane sound in the microphone of the device here. Dante. Good dog. That's a helicopter, not an airplane. The flight school is just a few miles away from where I'm standing. Okay, yeah, so, yeah. All right, it's still noisy if it's noisy, and it's noisy, but I'm just gonna say this, okay? Meaning, it doesn't really matter. The information's in here. If it's kind of hard to hear, that's fine. I don't really care. I'm doing what I can is what I mean by I don't really care. I'm doing what I can. You know, I could film this anywhere, but we just do this as we do it. You can't train your body to begin with. It's impossible. I've discussed enough in this to where there couldn't possibly be an opinion that anyone could have. You just don't know what you don't know. But when people do train their bodies, they'll train the front, like pushing forward, which you're only pulling, okay? You can't push. It's impossible for the human body to push. We pull muscles together to extend hinges, okay? The human body only pulls. Like I'm saying, that video's title under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company here, the human body only pulls. But people will pull the body to go forward, okay? And then they'll pull the body to go backward from what they think is its center line. Often thinking the shoulders sit in the middle or the center from front to back. They don't. The shoulders have a neutral, but it's still behind the body. The fingertips are the shoulders. Earth's gravity, right? And its centered pull. When our arms just hang down, straight down, vertical, with Earth's gravity's pull, the fingertips are the shoulders, locked out at the elbow. That's what I showed earlier, okay? And so, you'll never train the shoulders to go anywhere. You can train them forward, but gravity still pulls them just straight down. You can train them backward, but gravity still just pulls them straight down. It's impossible to train the body to get it to do anything. But the shoulders aren't evenly opposing the body front to back. They're behind the body, okay? The sternocleidomastoid at its low end connects in the front at the collarbone or clavicle, and the sternum, okay, sternocleidomastoid, that's why it's called that. The mastoid's up at the head, okay, at the base of the head, the rear of the head. It's not really quite the base, but it's behind the ear, the back of the head. from the neutral, front to back at least. It's behind the ears. So even though it's connecting in the front at the low end, the sternocleidomastoid, and then the scapula is connecting in the rear at the low end, it's not like the shoulder is somewhere right in between those two things, because the sternocleidomastoid comes up and still connects to the rear of the head. Okay, so what I mean is, yeah, when you lift your shoulders up, it's not like an even pull from the front up and from the rear up. You're pulling your shoulders up and back to behind your head. The only muscles that are really pulling the shoulder up connect behind the head. Yeah, sure, there's little jaw muscles, and not that they're not strong, but they're not having the role that something like the upper trapezius has. The upper trapezius does the main work to lift the shoulders. We can even say it like this: out of the two, the sternocleidomastoid or the upper trapezius does the main work to just move the shoulders. Like I'm saying, the motion from musculature pulling for the shoulders comes from the scapula, really, which is behind the head anyway, behind the rib cage as well, okay? And the upper trapezius connects to that scapula. The collarbones are really thin, small little bone in comparison to the scapula, this big flat bone on the back that's got like what, 7+ muscles connecting into it. There's at least 4 muscles with the rotator cuff, 3 more with the upper, mid, and lower trapezius. The rhomboids connect into the scapula. The pec minor connects to the scapula. So you've got at least 9, right? If I counted that right, we'll say yes, I was going to say at least 8, at very least, but no, at least 9 muscles connecting to the scapula to move that, which is 1/3 of the bones of the shoulder, okay? The scapula, the humerus, and the collarbone, okay? Scapula is shoulder blade, humerus is upper arm bone, collarbone is clavicle. You've got 9 muscles at least. I'm going to say them again just to make this as clear as it is. The shoulders only ever work behind the head. That's it, okay? In the Image Clothing Company's main side, this is what I'm saying. This is it. There you go. Our company name, I throw it in so that I can take some snippets sometimes of videos, because this is the point. The shoulders only could ever possibly work behind the head. Let's just compare the collarbone on the front of the body being one of the 3 bones of the shoulders functioning, okay? And then the scapula on the rear of the body being one of the 3 functioning bones of the shoulder. The scapula, or shoulder blade, has the pectoralis minor connecting to it, the upper, mid, and lower trapezius connecting to it, the rhomboids connecting to it, 4 muscles at least in the rotator cuff connecting to it, and whatever else we could say or label. Well, the upper trapezius, if I didn't say that with the other ones, we've got at least 9 muscles connecting to the scapula. And the scapula is only connected directly to bone on one part of it, and that's the rear of the body. So that's where all the motion's coming from, is the scapula. When it comes to the 3 muscles, or the 3 bones of the shoulder, the scapula, called shoulder blade, collarbone, called clavicle, and the upper arm bone, called humerus, the motion's coming from the scapula. That's where all the muscles are connecting to. All those muscles is what I mean. All of those. That's a lot of muscles. The collarbone on the front of the body is what I mean, as opposed to the shoulders seriously only ever working behind the head. On the front of the body, okay, the collarbone, it's got the little sternocleidomastoid muscle connecting to it. It's got the pec muscle, all right, the pec major, the pectoralis, the pectoral, the chest, okay? There's a muscle that connects to the collarbone there, and some little jaw musculature and whatever else, but it's just not doing much. Like, real big work, if you can see what I mean. It can't. The muscles that are connecting to it are small. The bone itself is small. This little collarbone on the front, as opposed to the big flat bone of the scapula on the rear, the shoulders just only ever work behind the head. And so it's not an even split. It's not that the shoulders sit even front to back. They sit behind the body. So you can't focus on the front of your body, man. You have to focus on the back of your body. It's called the posterior chain. There's an anterior chain as well. Okay, posterior is the rear, anterior is the front, like the pelvis, right? Tucking up underneath us, it's coming forward. Well, no, it's coming down in the rear, posterior. The posterior chain, the hamstrings and the glutes, they pull it down, okay? Posterior chain with the calves. That's a chain of muscles there, okay? That's what I mean. Anyway, what I'm saying is, yeah, the posterior part of the body, the back of the body, there's a lot of muscles on the back of the body, or the back of our bodies. We call it the back, okay? There's a lot of muscles on the back. You know, the latissimus dorsi connects to the upper arm bone, or the humerus. And where does it go? To the back. It connects to the lower part of the back. It connects to the lumbar spine and the crest of the pelvis and the rear of the body on our back, okay? So the shoulders just only ever work behind the head. That's really the focus of this video, is it's not an even split. You can't train the body to begin with. No opinion. You can't. It's just mechanics. It's just Earth's gravity. It's just got a center line. It's just got opposing muscles. The human body only pulls. But then also front to back, you just don't want to be ever doing anything in the front of your body. Well, even stuff like this. The feet arches, they grip inward, but we've got different length toes, and so they pull in and back as they grip arches, because the pinky toes on the outside of the feet are the shortest, and it comes up and into the big toes on the inside of the feet. And so just the shape of the toes, meaning the different length to our 5 toes on each foot in the universal human design, the feet pull back and they also pull in. Well, yeah, they grip arches inward, opposing the center line, but they also pull back. The back of the body, being behind yourself, is actually an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, because that's what I discussed in there. A lot of it. I also just discussed things within the gospel of Jesus Christ. But when our bodies are working properly, once we've gotten out of patterning, or in the process of getting out of patterning, scar tissue, bone spurs, just incorrect workings in our bodies for years, decades, maybe a lifetime, or at least give or take, it kind of feels like you're behind yourself, because things like heels on shoes push you in front of yourself, okay? Things like the shoulders trying to work in front of the body when they only ever work behind the head. Okay, that's what I mean. It's the truth. It's the truth, but only if your feet are flat on the earth. It starts at the feet. That's why we started this video with the feet. It always starts at the feet. On Earth's gravity. Okay, Zero Shoes. That's a brand. Just good people doing good things. I'm wearing the Ridgeway models right now. No affiliation with Zero Shoes up until today's date. Okay. Within the Image Clothing Company. Today's the 15th of January 2026, but maybe one day. Either way, I just you know, shout them out, and I have since the very founding. Yeah, Zero Drop, the term they incorporate in their shoes. I love the brand Zero Shoes, okay? Personally, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, me, Evan Strong, in this for life to lead it. What I'm saying is, you put heels on your shoes, your shoulders are going to come in front of your body. They just will. You lift your heels up, and you just tip your body forward, and your shoulders are forward. And yeah, maybe you straighten out your knees, because you have to have compensation, unhealthy compensation though, coming from somewhere in the body. If you just change the natural bend in your knee by putting heels under your feet, heels on shoes, shoot, it's just as real as it gets. It's permanent. It's eternal information. It's truth. It's universal. It's not my choice. I couldn't take credit for it, you know. It's just what it is, though. So I'll probably wrap this up. The air quality is just so terrible. In Utah Valley here, it just settles. You can probably just tell, too, in the camera. It's just like smog, fog, pollution. Gross. You know, cold Utah winter right now as well. So it's just dry desert air. I'm Utah native, and I get it because I've been here, but it's terrible. It's so bad for your body to breathe this. It's so bad. And I'm out here yelling, and you know, I've been breathing this air the whole time, right? It's not good. I've got Dante out here as well. It's seriously, like, literally for the sake of your health, you kind of want to stay inside when it's like this out here. It's from pollution. I mean, the amount of it that's just naturally what it is because it settles in the basin of the Utah Valley, sure. But the stuff that's settling, it's pollution, you know, it's terrible. When it's like this, it's not always like this here, but it's so bad to breathe for your body's sake, for your health. It's really not good. I can feel it. I mean, they literally tell you it's equivalent to smoking a certain amount of like smoking something, you know, depending on what the air quality is like on any given day. It's damaging to your body to breathe this. It's really rough air to try to get through your lungs. I'm not kidding. That's why I'm talking about it. I wouldn't be saying it like this in this video, other than, yeah, I mean, we allow the body to work under In the Image Clothing Company here. This is not good to breathe. It's not good, man. It is not good. Feeling. I mean, you can feel it. Yeah, they say it's equivalent to like smoking cigarettes. And then, you know, whatever they can measure the air quality like, it's that many cigarettes per like amount of time you're outside in this air. They really say that like actually, not to give you like an understanding of it. It's like, no, it's really damaging your body that much. It's terrible, dude. We got to do what we can to not pollute the earth. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, it's so bad to breathe this air. It's ridiculous. Okay, anyway, the point is, with the whole video, is the shoulders just working behind the head. And so why aren't they? Well, heels on shoes is just unnatural. It doesn't make any sense unless you know why we do it. And we explain a lot of why and where that came from, putting heels on shoes ever to begin with. The first person to do that changed everything in a negatively impacting way to the human body's only functioning. Really. Okay. Yeah, but there's a lot of reasons why it happened, though, and we can explain it, and I could explain a lot of it right now. I mean, yeah, but that's what I mean. In the Image Clothing Company, I'm in this for life. Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. I'm here to lead this, man, to do what we're doing through this, because it's not just a clothing company by any means. We're only a clothing company to allow the body to work. And its air quality is not really doing that so well. Heels on shoes won't allow your body to function. That's what that means. Allowing the body to work, allowing the body to mechanically operate, allowing the body to move, allowing the body to breathe, allowing the body to eat, allowing the body to be what it is. Otherwise, it's damaged. But, man, this air is so bad, man. It's like really catching up with me now after I've been out here this long, because I'm really, you know, I'm yelling over the noises. I just yell anyway where I do when I speak, you know. And it takes a lot of exertion to exert, you know, to be as loud as I am in this video here, okay? It's a lot of breathing of this terrible air. But shoulder seams, okay? The clothing physically placed on us, well, our shoulders follow shoulder seams. So we discussed the edge seams in this of our tops. For everyone, it doesn't matter who you are, man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be, you're just a human being. The body's designed the same by God. It's always been the same. The way I said that is so awesome. Oh my gosh. I love that. Not my decision, okay? Oh, shoot. I love it. The top seams of our shoulders, they actually sit behind the peak of our shoulders. You know, I've been saying this since the very, 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 very founding of In the Image Clothing Company. I've been saying this since before I founded In the Image Clothing Company. That's how I knew to say it. We speak out of personal experience, prayer and revelation, trial and error. We preach what we have practiced. That's how we know what we're even doing and that it works. But the top seams of our shoulders sit behind the peak of our shoulders because gravity pulls down on our clothing, man, and is placed on our bodies. And gravity's pulling down on our bodies as well, but the shoulders only ever work behind the head. And I've given such a thorough explanation in this video, there could be no possible opinion to that after watching this video that anyone could ever have. Ever, because it'll never change. I mean, the majority of it's just Earth's gravity. Without Earth's gravity, you still just have immovable bones, unless muscles are pulling on them. And no muscles pulling on the collarbone from its ends. Collarbone's in front of the body, which is where that sternocleidomastoid comes down and connects into. The scapula's in the rear of the body, which is where that upper trapezius comes down and connects into. And there's muscles connecting the scapula to bones. They're not only directly connected to bones the way that the collarbone on the front is, but this is the point. Man, it is hard to breathe out here. It truly is. I'm going to go play volleyball in about an hour or two, give or take. I'll be fine, but that's not ideal to breathe this air quality. We're doing this to ourselves. I mean, I contributed to it too, you know, as much as I do or did, but it's sad, not in a bad way, but it's, you know, like it's sad to see, like, wow, us damaging our planet that God gave us. I'm getting like actually frustrated now about the air quality. I'm like really hitting my arms and my sides in more of a like, man, that's like frustration than just like, you know how I do it sometimes, like that. Anyway, yeah. Shoot, bro. I love this though. I love this. Oh, Dante, good, good boy. Bro, that's what I mean. I love this. I love what I'm doing with this, man. This is a career. I mean, this is this is crazy. This is crazy, okay? In the Image Clothing Company, this is crazy. Because yeah, the shoulders, you good boy, Dante. Down. Good. I mean, through the construction noise, you know, this video is permanent. Information-wise, it's what it is always. Our shoulders will follow shoulder seams, and so the peak of the collarbone at the shoulder meets the peak of the acromion, which is the point, if you will, of the scapula or shoulder blade. And so our shoulders just follow where those seams are placed on our clothing that's sitting on top of our shoulders. Yeah, meaning that, there you go. That's yeah, meaning I don't really need to explain it any further than that. We just discussed this where we do, but this is such a beautiful explanation on the difference between the sternocleidomastoid and the upper trapezius, which are really the two main muscles moving the shoulder, well, vertically is what I mean, lifting the shoulder up. We pivot up and in on the collarbone, or the collarbone pivots down and out when we drop, I guess, really, though, you know. Lifting the right side of the body is a video Dante and I filmed in the same location on the main side of In The Image Clothing Company here. But then the scapulas just come up or they come down. They come all around, though, where they do the rib cage, because they have muscles moving them in ways that the collarbone doesn't. Okay. Seen with context, and I've given it in this video. That's just how it is, okay? So yeah, I mean, you lift your heels of your feet off the ground, your shoulders come forward, okay? The body just hinges like the ankles, okay? Your center of gravity just comes forward. Your shoulders come in front of your body. They only ever actually work, though, mechanically behind your body, behind your head, okay? Yeah. So there you go. I guess that's pretty much all we need to say about that. Yeah, In The Image Clothing Company's dreaded collar seam modification, In The Image Clothing Company's rotated seam modification. Stretch goes the opposite direction of the only way muscles could ever work, right? Staying centered, fitting correct, where we discuss clothing sits, it's not our opinion. We just know how it has to be for the universal human design, skeletal system, frame, function-wise, okay? No opinion. No opinion. I'm not mad. I'm crazy. I love that. Because, yeah, it's crazy. Because it's true. It's crazy that it is true. So yeah, being made from 100% natural materials in all the ways we can, our clothing has to be. Same intent behind any products for dogs, keeping collars centered. Same thing for human beings and dogs. You know, removing all tags in clothing. Yeah, that'll affect your shoulders. There's a tag in the rear of your collar. Well, there's that video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, the natural curve in the spine. You know, we discussed the tags and how they're altering the natural curve in the spine, placed inside of our clothing, between our clothing and our spine, or the skin. That's just the only thing between the spine and the outside of the skin. There's not really muscle there, you know, it's just spine and skin. And then a tag, and then your clothing, you know, if there is, like in the rear of your collar of your top. But you good boy, Dante. There's also the shoulders, you know, the upper trapezius and the mid trapezius. That's directly where that tag's placed in the top of, you know, the collar of a top. It's right on that muscle. Well, I just said there's no muscle between the spine and the skin. The trapezius connect to the side of the spine, you know, not like right to the rear of it. That's what I mean. So yeah, the tag will just deactivate the muscles of the upper trapezius, mid trapezius, and then if the lower trapezius is, no, it isn't. It wouldn't be affected by a tag in the rear of the collar of a top. It's just, that's higher than where the lower trapezius is. But anyway, yeah, just, I mean, those muscles, they're pulling the scapulas to the spine. That's what I mean. That's how the shoulders get behind the head, is the you know, one of the many muscles that are pulling the shoulders back, the trapezius. And so you place a tag directly on those trapezius muscles, your shoulders will just come in front of your head because you deactivate those muscles by placing a tag in their way. You know, that's what I say. Tags either cause a physical gap, changing the body's only working position, and or they just don't allow musculature to activate. It's one of our 2 prerequisites, in addition to In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique under In the Image Clothing Company, to not alter the body. You know, we discuss where clothing sits, baseline, and then we discuss our 2 prerequisites. Those are them, okay? We discussed where tops sit, baseline, in this. Pants sit above the hips entirely. At the natural waist, just where we bend side to side of the spine, where our elbows have that area that they are not hitting into bones. And then slightly higher in the front than the rear with the waistband angle. We just discussed, you know, drawstrings. Anyway, we just get so deep with it. It's been, you know, as long as it's been, we've got so much going on. Thank you. Goodbye.